Hello and welcome back to another video. This is going to be a new series that I'm doing based around my progression with 4x5. You may remember a few months ago I made a video where I took some portraits on a 4x5 film. It was my third time doing it, and all throughout shooting that video I was absolutely loving the process, but at the end I said I couldn't really justify buying a 4x5 kit since the results that I got weren't great, and I also just couldn't justify the money. But not long after that video, it was my birthday, and I got more money than I expected, and I ended up just saving a little bit over time, and I bought a 4x5. I'll make a separate video about my kit that I bought, but to just sum it up real quick, I got an Intrepid, I got a 180mm 5.6, and I got some other things here and there. I still got the same tripod that I always use, but that's definitely something that I need to upgrade in the future. So this video is pretty much just going to be my first week shooting 4x5, and the first thing that I needed to do was test out my film holders that I had. I was pretty much just trying to find the cheapest 4x5 kit that I could, so I went on eBay and tried to find some film holders. I found some Fidelity Elite ones, but they were labelled as just like old film holders and they were not tested, and I didn't know if they were light tight, so I took a gamble with it, but it was only £15 for 2 film holders, so I thought that was pretty good. Let me know if I could have got them anywhere cheaper or anything like that, because I don't know anything about 4x5. I'm just going to say that right now. I am extremely new to this. I don't know any terms. I don't know anything, really. So since these were untested, I didn't know if they worked. And because at this point I had my whole kit and my film, I just wanted to make sure that these film holders were light tight. So the first images that I took were just really basic test images. I took one of my bearded dragon, one of my mum and my nephew, one of my girlfriend Jen, and then she took one of me. All of these photos were really nerve-wracking to take since I hadn't actually set up the camera before, like properly, to take a photo, and it was just a really daunting experience, especially taking the photo of my mum and my nephew. But to my surprise, I set up everything correctly, almost nailed focus in each photo, and the film holders were also all perfect. There were no light leaks in any of them. So I developed these, and once I saw that they all came out well, the next day I packed all my kit into my bag and went to university. Right now I'm just putting things in my rucksack that I use. I'm basically wrapping the actual camera up in the dark cloth, putting my lens with the lens like caps on obviously in a beanie, and then I'm just putting it all in my bag to make sure that it's perfectly safe and I'm not moving it around or anything. Like I said, I went for a very cheap kit. As I was saying, I took the kit to uni to take some photos. For one of the projects that I'm doing at uni, I'm making a yearbook and I'm shooting it all on 4x5 film. At the point of taking these photos, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I knew I just wanted to take photos of people with something that related to them, but I didn't really know what, and I was just sort of like, yeah, I just want to get cool portraits. And since I was pretty nervous with using this kit, I asked 2 people that I had already previously spoken to about this project if I could take their portraits, and those 2 people are Carter and Caleb. Like I said, I previously spoke to them about this project, so they knew what I was doing, and they knew that it took time to set up this camera. But even with them knowing that this camera takes time to set up and the process isn't quick, I still rushed myself, and mistakes were made. So the first portrait I took was Caleb. We basically went to this like garden area where there's this nice greenhouse, and it makes for some nice photos. I asked him if he had any ideas of what he wanted his portrait to be, and he just said that he wanted to sit down on the bench with, you know, the greenhouse around him, and it makes a really nice composition. So I set up the 4x5 and took his photo, but I'm pretty sure I kicked the leg of the 4x5, or just maybe even like slightly moved the camera, because he was way out of focus and I don't think I could have messed focusing up that bad. As I was done shooting Caleb's photo, another person from our course called Anya came along. She asked what we were doing, and I pretty much just explained my project to her, and she said that she'd be happy for her portrait to be taken as well. But first up, I wanted to take a photo of Carter. So I asked Carter if he had any ideas, but he said he didn't really have any, and he didn't mind what the photo was. And at this point, I didn't really know what I wanted to do for his photo, or really anyone's photo. So I said, hey, let's go on this bench, get the nice trees behind you, and yeah, we'll just make a photo here. So I set up my composition and I started focusing, but once again I rushed myself and I ended up misfocusing. I'm not really too mad about this one though, since it's not exactly a great photo and it doesn't represent Carter in any way at all. I'm a bit annoyed about the Caleb one though, since it is genuinely a good photo, but it doesn't really relate to him at all, but it's just a cool photo, so I'm a bit annoyed about that. So once I was done taking Carter's photo, we went to go and find Anya. She was at the allotments in the garden area of the uni, and she has a pretty green thumb, so this was just like the perfect place to take her portrait. So like I said, Anya has a green thumb, figuratively, not literally, and she was part of this like allotment society, so it was just the perfect place to take her portrait. And I realised as I was setting up this composition that these were the type of photos that I wanted to create. I wanted to create photos that truly relate to people, like how Anya's part of this society. It just felt so natural, her being in this frame. But anyway, I set up the camera, and once again, I rushed myself and missed focus. And I'm pretty annoyed about this since this photo came out perfectly other than that. So these are the type of photos that I want to take for this project, and I'm pretty annoyed with myself that I missed focus and rushed myself, but it's just, you know, something that I have to learn not to do and get used to just, you know, slowing down. But to be honest, it's a lot easier said than done, since when you're taking portraits of people with a 4x5 kit, it's a daunting task using the camera anyway, but also when you're taking photos of people that you don't necessarily like know very well. Like I don't know Anya super well, we have spoke like quite a few times, but we're not exactly like best buds or anything. So the mix of the daunting camera and taking photos of people that I don't know very well is just a recipe for disaster. Anyway, once I was done taking Anya's photo, I went to the IOP hub to try and find any more people on our course to take photos of. And that's when we bumped into Ricardo, Caitlin and Eden. I'd actually previously spoken to Ricardo that day about this project, but he said he didn't want his portrait taken yet since he wanted to shave and make his mustache look all nice. So then I asked Caitlin and Eden if they wanted their portraits taken. Caitlin said that she didn't want hers taken like that day, but she'd happily have it taken like later in the week or next week. However, Eden said that she didn't mind having her portrait taken. Remembering how good the photo of Anya was, I asked Eden if she had any places that she felt comfortable or just that she really liked around uni. She said that she didn't have any ideas, but she does spend a lot of her time in the IOP hub. But to be fair, this place is really bad for photos, so I said we should just get a headshot of her with a blank wall. The lighting in the IOP hub is actually really nice, but the area itself is just terrible for photos. So once again, I set up my camera and took a portrait. And believe it or not, I missed focus again. This time it was the slightest bit out of focus. I focused on her glasses instead of her eyes. But anyway, this is where the problem with this project comes in. People like Eden, I don't know very well. I actually haven't spoken to her that many times throughout my 3 years at uni, so I don't know what she likes. So I can't really suggest any places or things that I think would be good for a photo. And then when the subject also doesn't really know what they want to do, it's a bit difficult. But it's pretty lucky that I do have quite a while to do this project, so I can plan out some shoots. I've spoken to quite a few people on the course about this now, because I really want portraits that relate to the person. I don't want to have ones like this of Eden, Carter or Caleb where it just doesn't relate to them. Anyway, after I took Eden's photo, I went downstairs to develop my sheets. I very quickly realised that they were all out of focus, and it just filled me with just like sad, anger, regret and just every emotion possible. So I just gave up with scanning that day and went home feeling defeated. A few days later, I was wondering if there was something wrong with my camera, so I set it up the way I had set it up previously, and I took some portraits just to test out if there really was something wrong with the way I set it up, the camera in general, or just anything. I took a portrait of my gran and my brother, and they both turned out perfectly. So it was just me misfocusing, or with the Caleb photo, I may have just nudged the camera a little bit. So once I developed these photos and saw that they were all in focus, I got all of my sheets that I hadn't scanned and went upstairs to scan them. I then realised that the photos weren't as out of focus as I previously thought. The Caleb one was definitely as out of focus as I thought, but the others were pretty good compared to what I imagined. And that brings us to where we are now. It's been my first week shooting 4x5 film, and I've learnt a few different things. Number 1, I need to take my time with my photos and not rush. Number 2, I need to be more careful with my environment to make sure that I don't knock the tripod. And number 3, I need to make sure that my photos are exactly what I want them to be, otherwise I'm just not going to be as happy with them like the photo of Carter. But like I said a million times already, that is exactly what this series is going to be about. It's going to be me showing my progression with 4x5, I'll be showing my mistakes, things that I find that work really well, the photos that I take, and just pretty much everything that I learn. So if you're wanting to see more of this, I'll be making a playlist and I'll be trying to upload one of these videos every week. But anyway, if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Also, yes, my setup has changed again. I keep changing it around because I'm just not happy with the way my videos look, but I think this looks quite nice with the fairy lights, the lights over there, the light over here and the light over here. It's all quite nice. But yeah, bye bye.